Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. Hi, good afternoon, Suchitra ji. Good afternoon, Neha ji. Hi, Kasturi ji. कैसे हो आप? Hello, Mr. CK. Hi. Hi, Mr. Parthiv. Good evening. We will be shortly starting the webinar. We'll wait for few attendees to join and then we will start. Meanwhile, if there's any questions, you can drop in the chat box. Hi, Celia. So we will be doing these webinars on every Saturday. If there's any suggestion from your end, if you want us to select a topic and if you want us to talk on something, please let us know. There will be alternate webinars between a nutritionist and a wellness coach. Hi, Ms. Varishtitha. Hello, good evening, Salman ji. If there's any question, please drop it in the chat box. I will be answering to all of them by the end of the webinar. Hi, good evening. Hello, good evening, Rupinder ji. We'll wait for another 2 minutes and then we will start with the webinar. Hello, good evening. Hi, good evening, Shanti ji. If there are any questions, you can drop it in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer post the webinar. Good evening, Nilima ji. Hi. Your suggestions are more than welcome. If you have any suggestions for us, any webinar topics for us that you want us to cover, you can just drop it in the chat box and we will be taking it up in the next few sessions. Good evening, Shahin ji. कैसे हो? Hi, Mr. Stephen. Good evening. We'll just wait for one other minute and we will start. Hi, good evening, Salman ji. So today's topic is a little different. It is about the relationship between IBS and FODMAP. A lot of patients do ask कि FODMAP क्यों follow करना है या what does a low FODMAP food means or how to follow it. It becomes really difficult. So we will be looking at what FODMAP diet is exactly. Just we'll wait for a minute and then we can start. Hi, good evening, Sarika ji. Hi. Hello, Mr. Rohit. I think we can start. So today's topic is relationship between IBS and FODMAP. I am Dhruvi Shah. I'm a registered dietitian and have been working with Daily Bloom IBS. So this is what we will be looking at in the webinar. Basically, an introduction to IBS, what IBS is, introduction to FODMAP, and why we should be following a low FODMAP diet. So to give a gist about IBS, I know you've been hearing about what IBS is in the past few webinars, but just a gist of what IBS is. It is irritable bowel syndrome, which is characterized by chronic abdominal pain and altered bowel habits. There is a criteria to identify it, which is known as Rome criteria, wherein the altered habits are about for more than 6 months. Okay, along with certain symptoms like diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, abdominal pain, etc. For a few patients, there's also acidity and weight loss, which is observed, and it generally affects 20% of global population. And the cause is unclear, but a lot of patients do not know or have been diagnosed with IBS. So let's go on to what is FODMAP. So FODMAP is fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyol. So what does this mean? These are certain products that are present in carbohydrates, short chain or small chain sugar, carbohydrates, and fiber, which are not completely absorbed in the small intestine. Now, when food is not absorbed in the small intestine, it moves as it is to the large intestine. Now, in large intestine, there's no digestion that is happening. So it is just broken down into protein and other nutrients in that way. And that's when the problem is created. That's when the inflammation happens. And that's when there is malabsorption of nutrients and the food that is digested or partially digested. Okay. So now what happens is fermentable, meaning a process where the gut bacteria will ferment the undigested carbohydrates, and this will produce gases. So like I said, when it moves to large intestine, there is no digestion that is happening, but there is fermentation that takes place. And that's the reason why there is increase in gases. Next is oligosaccharides. There is fructose and GOS, which is usually found in wheats, rye, onion, garlic, legumes, and pulses. Now, disaccharides are lactose. Again, all these food groups will not be digested in the small intestine. Lactose again will move to large intestine and it will be fermented, causing gas or constipation. So food like dairy products, so beet, milk, cheese, paneer, ice cream, yogurt, all of these things. Monosaccharides, they're basically fructose. So fructose are found in honey or corn syrup or certain fruits. And then there is polyols. So these are sorbitols and mannitols, mainly are found in artificial sweeteners. So you'll have to read the label while purchasing a food product, which I'll be talking about in the later part of the webinar. And it is also present in some fruits and vegetables. So now these are certain high FODMAP food. A lot of people who are suffering with IBS do not know that what are high FODMAP food or what does these food consist of. So in fruits, generally apple, mangoes, lychee, figs are fruits that we consume on a daily basis without understanding that they are high in FODMAP. Versus in vegetables as well, peas or cauliflower or beetroot, onion, garlic being the most consumed in all the household are high FODMAP and it is to be avoided. In dairy, all the dairy products are high FODMAP. Wheat, again, so wheat is something which is high in FODMAP. It also includes semolina or rava and all the other products which are made out of wheat, be it bread, pastries, pastas, etc. And legumes and pulses, which is highly not tolerated or undigested by a lot of patients. Apart from the high FODMAP food, it's not just about the FODMAP food, but also the trigger foods. So trigger foods are also something which is to be eliminated because they will also cause certain symptoms in the body. So it could be caffeine, tea or coffee. A lot of people who have acidity but also have a habit of drinking tea almost on a daily basis, which could increase or trigger and cause symptoms. Sodas, ice cream, cold drinks, sweeteners, fried food, spicy food, etc. Now, reading about the food label, like I said, there's this inulin, stevia, a lot of false claims called as gluten-free, lactose-free. But when you read the label carefully, there's always oats, for example, if it's a bread, they will write it as gluten-free because the content of gluten is very less in it. But there is traces or presence of wheat in it. So we'll be talking about it in brief. Now, what are low FODMAP food which can be easily taken? In fruits, it is banana, papaya, dragon fruit, kiwi, star fruit. These fruits, vegetable, there's beans, carrot, cucumber, all the green vegetables basically. So be it bindi, tenli or pumpkin, all of these. In dairy, almond, coconut and oats milk is allowed. And out of this milk, yogurt and buttermilk can be made. And for millets, poha, jowar, bajra, all the millets are a low FODMAP food. And in dal, only these food are something which is allowed. Now I understand that there comes limitation of food when we start to follow a low FODMAP diet. But know that it is important. Why is it important? That I'll be talking in the next slide. But when this elimination phase is only for 4 weeks, and then when we start to reintroduce food, the variety and the range of food that can be consumed increases, and hence the low FODMAP diet or the challenge diet is something that is to be followed. Now, why to follow a low FODMAP diet? One, definitely for symptomatic relief. Since it's a chronic condition, there cannot be a 100% cure of IBS. But definitely we can manage it, and the symptoms can be reduced to a great extent, which we can do following a low FODMAP diet or a controlled diet, or a diet wherein we know that, okay, high FODMAP food is okay to eat, but in what proportion? Okay. So symptom release, there will be reduction in gas production. Like I explained that the food is digested in the large intestine or fermented by the bacteria in the large intestine. Hence, there is increase in gas production, which causes bloating, pain, and discomfort generally. Then there is decreased water retention. Now, a high FODMAP food can draw in water when it is being digested, and hence it causes diarrhea. Okay, and a low FODMAP diet will reduce this effect. And alleviation of abdominal pain, obviously, because there will be reduction in gas, and there will be low chances of diarrhea and constipation, and hence the abdominal pain will be reduced. And by minimizing the fermentation, the osmotic effect, which is also observed during water retention, that will be reduced, and hence there will be significant reduction in cramping and abdominal pain. The long-term benefits is one, like I said, there will be identification of tolerances. Now, when we go through the reintroduction phase, we will be reintroducing a lot of food that are high in FODMAP. So what happens is when, just a simple example, that when you are burning something or there's a bonfire, and now it has just sparks in it, and that's when you put in petrol. So it would lit up, but wherein if it is completely out and that's when you add petrol or ghee or whatever, it's not going to start burning higher. So what happens is that your gut lining is inflamed. Now, when it is already inflamed, on top of it, when we start giving high FODMAP food, the severity of the symptoms and the symptoms would increase. Similarly, when we follow a low FODMAP diet, the symptoms will reduce to a great extent. And then when we start to reintroduce food, your body is not in an inflamed state. So it will be able to tolerate it better. And hence the identification of the tolerances becomes a lot easier. Food that you were not able to eat before versus after following a low FODMAP diet or an elimination phase. And then when we start to reintroduce, your body will be able to tolerate it a little better. Okay. It of course expands our diet, and we can avoid trigger even after taking those high FODMAP food. Sustainable management. So the personalized phase of the diet help in the sustainable eating. So basically, when in long term, you want to know what all food is something that you can eat without facing any symptoms. So that is something we will understand in the 14 weeks. And yes, this could go on for a longer period of time. For example, the reintroduction phase can be continued later. Say now it is not a mango season and you don't get mangoes now, but mango is something that you would like to eat in the next season. So whenever there's mango season, a 2 week of elimination and then reintroduction of mango is something that can be done. Now, what is this cumulative effect? There's lactose, fructose, fructans, polyols, galactans. These are all high FODMAP food that we just spoke about. Now, all of these FODMAP goes in the same bucket. Now, everybody know that everybody has a unique and personal capacity to tolerate high FODMAP food. Okay. And the severity and symptoms also are very different in every individual. So whatever goes in your bucket is something that you'll be able to take. If the FODMAP food intake increases your capacity for digestion and absorption in the small intestine, the overflow will be in the large intestine. And that's when the symptoms will be faced. So now when we do the entire process, you know that your bucket can carry only 500 ml of water. So that's what you can do for a longer period of time. Even if you're including the high FODMAP food, make sure it is in the limited amount or in the controlled portion, which how much ever your body can tolerate. Now we talk a lot about this high FODMAP, low FODMAP, and following these, but mainly let's talk about the basics. Let's talk about lifestyle, something that we generally don't talk about, but it is very important. So first is portion control. Even if you are eating a low FODMAP diet, does not mean that you can overeat or do a feasting and you can eat in more quantity. Portion is something which has to be understood well. Now, overloading your stomach, eating something more than your appetite permits you to eat is something which is absolutely a no-no. So here in the image, you can see that there is one palm of portion. So there has to be three things in the diet, mainly in the meal, mainly for your lunch and dinner. One is carbohydrate, which should be one hand as given in the image. Then is the protein, that is one full palm, and vegetables one entire fist. So basically, carbohydrate will include all the oats roti, jowar roti, bajra roti, rice, and all these things. Protein will include dals, milk and milk products, the lactose-free ones, eggs, and chicken. And vegetable, of course, if it is constipation, it has to be a high fiber diet, wherein if it is a diarrhea, it shouldn't be a high fiber diet, but there has to be fiber which is there in the diet, but the type of fiber is something which is changed a little. And fats, which is one thumb, generally in our Indian diet we use a lot of fat, but know that fat intake also should be controlled. uh, Simple basic tips like avoid sleeping directly after meals. So at least there has to be 2 hours of gap after eating your meal. So before lying down, make sure you've eaten food, say for example at 12 o'clock, you should be laying down not before 2 o'clock. Water intake and timing. So now make sure that you're not drinking too much water together during the meals and after the meals. Okay, immediately after the meals, it will prevent stomach distension. There's how you're taking water is also something which is important. So not taking cold water or not drinking water directly after your meals, or not drinking some a really hot water, this is something which has to be taken care of. Not drinking water throughout the day. Okay, my nutritionist have asked me to take 2.5 liters of water and I have not completed that by 5 o'clock. So now from 5 to 9, I'm going to take 1.5 liters of water. So that is a wrong practice. In your entire day, it has to be distributed within the hour that you have to take, say, half a glass or 1 glass of water after every half an hour. Okay. Next is temperature of food and drinks. Avoid taking food and beverages which are extremely hot or extremely cold. So anywhere between lukewarm to a normal temperature is allowed. Meal frequency and timing. Now, most of the people do not follow a lifestyle or a 7 meal pattern in the entire day. There has to be small meals and frequent meals, like 7 meal pattern in the entire day. Do not skip your meal or do not have large meal at one go. Usually what happens is people take breakfast and then they directly take lunch. Now there's 4, 5, 6 hours of gap in between the meals. Now when this happens, one, acidity and bloating increases, and two, when we are hungry for a longer period of time, your body tends to eat more than required at one sitting. When this happens, the digestion is hampered. We need to enhance and improve our digestion powers when we are doing all these things, or skipping breakfast, doing intermittent fasting, or not taking meal on time, skipping the meals, which all of this will hamper the digestion process. Okay, now when I was talking about labels, this is something that we have to look at. One, like I said, ingredient is something which has to be taken care of, and reading the ingredient before buying the product is very important. If it says it's made out of oats or something like that, gluten free, make sure that you read labels, because they do add honey to it or molasses to it, which is also high FODMAP. Now, inulin is something which is added to yogurts and creams and all these things. So make sure you're reading that. Metamucil or 100% inulin. And alternative is psyllium husk, which is also added. There are apple juice, pear juice, all of these which are added. A lot of sweeteners. Now, sweeteners or stevia or sugar, all of this will have sucrose, which also causes discomfort. When there is natural flavoring written or when there is spices written in most of the namkeens that are there, first of all, fried food to be avoided. But if at all there is food which is not fried or food which is roasted, will also have natural flavoring or spices written on it, which will generally include onion and garlic powder. So make sure that you're reading the label well. Now, what should an ideal meal look like? Like I said, it has to be a 6 to 7 meal pattern. So early morning, as soon as you wake up, the early morning should be within half an hour of waking up. It can be fat first, or dry fruits or seeds can be taken, and then detox water. So most of you must be following this pattern in the entire day, whoever have enrolled with us. Then is your breakfast. Your breakfast should be between 2 hours of waking up. Midday snack has to be after breakfast, 3 hours of gap has to be there and a midday snack. So if I have to give you an ideal meal timing, it would look like early morning at around 7:30, breakfast at 9, midday snack at 11, lunch at around 1:30, snacks at around 4, 4:30, and dinner at 8. Now here also you are observing that there is 12 hours of fasting, 11 hours of fasting, which is okay if you go to sleep at 12. Now sleep is something which is also neglected by a lot of people who are usually working. So they eat their dinner at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then sleep at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So that's approximately 6 to 7 hours of gap in between the meal taken and sleep timing. And then when you wake up early, if there's not been 6 to 8 hours of sleep, so that also is something which would cause inflammation or cause a trigger. So make sure, first of all, sleeping late is something which has to be changed. If it is an unavoidable situation, even after dinner, make sure you're having something, some snack after 3 hours, definitely not an entire meal, but a small snack like a fruit or dry fruits or makhanas or bhel or something like that post your dinner if you are staying up for a longer period of time. Even something as simple as having a milk or lactose free milk just before going to sleep will also help. Okay, any questions? The questions are most welcome. We will be, if there are any questions, kindly drop in a chat and we'll be taking them up. You can also put in if there are any suggestions that you want regarding the webinar that we will be conducting next. You can ask. Mr. Rohit, you have raised your hand, but you will not be able to talk because of the settings. You can just drop in a text, whatever you want to ask, and I will be answering them. I see a lot of people raising their hands. Can you please type it in the chat box? I can read it out and I can answer those questions. So like I was saying, if there are any topics in mind that you want us to talk about, kindly let us know and we will be continuing that. Mr. Salman, you've written that I want to ask something. What is the reason if we are taking complete diet? By complete diet, do you mean food with high FODMAP food? So if you're talking about that, in that case, you are allowed to take high FODMAP food, only those which you have tried. Okay, so that you know that how much your body is able to tolerate that particular food and in what quantity. Okay. Now, detox water is basically, so for example, if somebody is suffering from bloating, a detox water is, if you're taking jeera water early in the morning, jeera is something that will help in reducing the bloating. So that is what detox water means. Now, there are these waters, which is chia seed water or a lemon ginger water or if it is jeera water, clove water, methi seed water. These are all sort of detox water which helps in strengthening digestion or aiding in digestion. Okay. FODMAP food complete chahiye. The list you're talking about, I will be sending it to you. Mr. Stephen has asked, how is cold or hot liquid related to IBS? It does not. Doesn't hot liquid or hot water eases digestion? Not hot water, lukewarm water. Now, when you take extremely hot water, say for example, soup which is recently like just made, if you're taking that, what happens is if when you're taking such hot water or cold water, the linings of the gut is hampered. Now, know that the digestion is already weak, and we are to improve the digestion and increase its strength. Now, taking this could again cause a reduction in digestion, and hence that's the reason why to avoid the hot or cold liquid. A lot of people who have IBS are facing GERD, like GERD or symptoms of GERD. Okay, they do have acidity. So in that case, these GERD guidelines are something which will help. Shaheen ji, you've written that after 14 weeks, please send diet chart for daily. I will follow up. Sure. So the sustenance phase diet plan is something that you will be able to view until unless you don't uninstall the app. Or if you want the help of nutritionist and wellness coach, which is also available, we can extend the program. Okay. I think there are a few more questions. Is it good to avoid tea, coffee totally? I would say yes, because tea and coffee are nothing but tannins. There are tannins present in it, which is not only hampering digestion but also reducing the uptake and absorption of a lot of nutrients. Okay, so Mr. Nehru, I would say to avoid it completely. An alternative could be like a spice tea. So basically, you can take a glass of water or half a cup of water, add all the Indian spices. It could be clove, it could be ginger, it could be tulsi and mint leaves, dalchini, all these things, and you can give it a good boil, and that could be something that you can take for your early morning. So Kavita ji has written, Bhel also triggers acidity, poha also triggers acidity. Yes, it could trigger acidity. So like I gave an example of a bonfire, when you are already acidic and you've not eaten for a long period of time, anything that you take could cause a trigger. Okay, so to, like I said, to correct the lifestyle first and then to start taking all these things, it will definitely take a little time for you to start with a corrective plan first, then completely start following a proper lifestyle, and then the low FODMAP food is something that you'll be able to follow completely. So yes, that acidity and gas will be reduced, but it will take certain time. Okay. Nilima ji has written, if I finish dinner by 8 and haldi milk, when should I take? So haldi milk, if you are sleeping at around 11 o'clock, I would suggest you to take it at around 10 o'clock, so that milk has a delayed protein response. So basically, the digestion of protein takes a little longer time, and hence when you are asleep, that is something which gives you calories and gives you energy. So you can take it at around 10, half an hour or an hour before going to sleep. Is cauliflower okay? No, cauliflower is a high FODMAP food, which I've mentioned in the list. Mr. Rohit has written, Quaker oats is good or not? Yes, the rolled oats are absolutely okay to eat. You can have that. Nilima ji, like I said, if you take haldi milk at 10, you can sleep at around 11:30. Example of gluten-free items. So there are gluten-free bread available, there are pastas available, noodles and spaghettis, these things available. Now, if you consider taking a jowar roti or a jowar khichdi, all these are also gluten-free. So, or a bajra khichdi, any of the millet if you're opting for. Even the puris and parathas that we make, if you make it without the gluten, that is if you make using the buckwheat atta or the kuttu atta that it is said, that is okay to eat. Okay. Uh, Can I take honey with warm water in early morning? Like I said, honey is a high FODMAP food. So honey is not okay to be taken. You can take warm water, you can add lemon, you can add other herbs, you can add chia seed, jeera, all of these things, that is okay. Shanti ji has written, will bloating take place immediately or after some time? And dry figs are allowed or not? So dry figs are not allowed in a low FODMAP diet. And bloating, it depends on your body. Like I said, everybody's body and system is different. For some, they may face immediate symptoms after eating food or just within half an hour, or after eating food, they may face abdominal cramps. For some, it takes place the next day. So it completely depends on how your body is functioning and how your body is able to tolerate these food. Okay. Mr. Rohit has written, ma'am, oats Maggie is available in the market, so it is good or not? I would say Maggie itself is not good, but if it is an oats Maggie, because Maggie has a lot of other preservatives present in it, but you can enjoy your food. If you're taking it once in blue moon, say once in a month, wherein you're taking Maggie, but make sure that you're adding fiber and protein to it. So in that case, you will be able to take Maggie, you will be able to enjoy, unless it's made out of low FODMAP food. Okay. Miss Anita has written that, does continuous take of ghee increases cholesterol level? Ghee is not the culprit here. The main culprit is the portion of oil and ghee that we are taking. An ideal portion is 0.5 ml or half a liter per person per month. In that, it includes ghee and oil both. So if you reduce your oil intake and ghee intake, that will help in reducing cholesterol. And also it depends on the type of oil that we are using. Haldi milk can be taken. Nehru ji has written, instead of morning coffee, can Zedo take ensure? Contains milk and sugar. I will have to first take a look at the ingredients. If it has milk and sugar, then definitely no. In all the protein supplements also, there is a reading of how to take the supplement, which is okay for you to take or not, wherein the carbohydrate content, the sugar content, the protein percentage, and the fiber percentage of the entire product is to be seen, and then according to your weight and your nutrient requirement, we have to decide which supplement to be taken. Nilemaji, popcorn and puffed rice is completely okay. You can consume it, but again, portion control is important. So if you're keeping it for your snack time, make sure that it is one bowl or one cup. Kavita ji has written, almond milk with pinch of haldi can be taken at night. Yes, haldi milk can be taken. Is jaggery allowed? Yes, Shanti ji, jaggery is absolutely allowed. You can take. But again, if diabetes is there or your sugar intake is high, in that case, a limit or a portion control of jaggery is important, because the amount of jaggery that you're taking cannot exceed to an extent wherein because that could also cause symptoms. High sugar content can cause symptoms. So make sure that jaggery is absolutely okay and better than sugar, but again, it has to be in limited amount. I think these are all the questions that you've asked. Thank you for asking questions. I hope that you all have understood and learned something from the webinar. There will be an upcoming webinar on Saturday at 5 o'clock again. We will be sending out the link to you shortly. Make sure you register, and you are most welcome to join the webinar. It will be taken by a wellness coach. So make sure you are registering. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining the webinar. Thank you.